Hello and welcome. This is Kevin Shortell. I started off this video blog with what I think is a very interesting question. Is anyone else besides myself troubled to know that the largest asset of our federal government is student debt? And this is a topic I've really been looking at for quite some time. I'm probably a little bit more sensitive to it as my son just graduated college this past year. So I'm very familiar with how much the cost and everything else goes. And he's very fortunate where he's just not going to have any student debt. But boy, it puts a lot of people on the sidelines on what they can do and how it's going to affect real estate and the real estate note business. So here's a chart for you. This article came out towards the end of 2018. So this is a tiny bit dated here. It reflects Q1 2018 numbers according to these financial accounts of the United States. And you can see right there in the middle, student loans, 45%. Now, again, with the U.S. government, that's considered an asset. They own that note, if you will. They own that loan, and as long as you're getting paid on that loan, that is a performing asset. Now, for the student, of course, that's going to be on the debt side, right? That's on the debt column there. So the government, in this case, owns these notes, but to the tune of 45% of all the assets that it owns, which is really, really incredible amount, but you can see through the rapid growth here. So this one just shows you the student loans as a percentage of federal government assets, and go back all the way to 1995 on your far left-hand corner. I mean, it was nothing. The government didn't get involved in providing student loans. Gradually started to increase till we got up to past 2007, and of course in the gray there was the so-called Great Recession, and during that recession afterwards, that's when things really, really took off to the point where in 2017 you can see that these loans made up over half. So then it was 52.5% of all the assets. Now it's dropped down a little bit to 45, and probably gone up a little bit from them as well, because wait till you see the trajectory on these loans. Look at that. Once again, these are the number of federal loans to students in billions on the left-hand side. And again, 1995, it was nothing. And then you get past that 2008, 9, 10, and just look at that increase. And there doesn't seem to be any slowing down of this. They're providing these loans. The students are graduating, but they're graduating with so much debt that it's preventing them from becoming home buyers. This will play a big problem. It's going to hold millennials back. It's actually changing some of the normal cycles that we saw that historically hadn't changed. People at a certain age moved out of the home. They got an apartment, and then they ended up getting married, and they got a starter home, and then they had a couple more kids, and they got the bigger home, and they're making more incomes. And there was all kinds of charts and businesses that were based upon just those demographical responses. And now it's completely changed. Kids are staying with mom and dad longer because they have to. They have all of this debt that they need to pay back. And of course, since it was easy to get these federal loans, the colleges started doing what? Increasing tuition. Well, after all, they can afford it because they're getting a government loan. Look at this chart. Some interesting inflation comparisons here. So this is the Consumer Pricing Index, and look in the red there what's happened with college tuitions and fees since 1978. But again, that rapid rise after the 2007-8, I mean, it's just absolutely incredible, up 1,321%. Compare that to automobiles. Look at the automobiles down there on the bottom. Then you got medical cost and, of course, the regular consumer pricing index. So prices went up. People got more and more loans. But here's the scary part. So this is from another source. I'm tying several things together here. This is a source from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. This was an article in Bloomberg. And this shows that, yes, the total debt is rising. In fact, it's all the way up now to $1.46 trillion that are owed to our government in the form of government-backed loans for college. But the delinquency rate is at 11%. Now, overall, that's a fairly low delinquency. But when we're talking in trillions of dollars here, the number is pretty staggering. In the fourth quarter, so this is a little bit more current here, in the fourth quarter, 2018, there were $166.4 billion in student debt that was 90 days or more delinquent or in default. Now, again, we do have employment up to record high numbers right now, but the wages are not keeping up with all the other expenses. These kids get out of college and they're not getting a $100,000 job like a lot of them think right out of the gate. They're just not getting those kind of wages. And the ones who have taken on a lot of debt, they've got to eat, they've got other expenses, and they kind of put the student loan on the back burner. So who knows where this is going? At some point in time, I'm sure there's going to be pressure from one side of the government or the other that they're going to want to forgive all of this debt and to help the economy, to help these students out here. But we'll see how that pans out in the future here. But it's not just the students. I found this interesting as well. Remember, a lot of parents have to back these loans. And when you look at the most rapid transition to serious delinquencies, it's not amongst the 18 to 29-year-olds. It's the 40 to 49-year-old parents that signed on and took this debt on. That's going to affect their credit and everything else. Is this keeping people in homes longer? We've seen the tenure of people now is well over 8 years. So people are staying in their homes longer. Certainly debt plays a part of that. Also prices going up on the real estate side. They can sell at a high price, but where are they going to buy, right? They run into that dynamic there. So this is not just affecting the teenagers. It's affecting all group ages out there. So when we look at real estate, we look at the overall marketplace, what's going on. These are the kind of demographics that you have to shape your businesses around. Not these two things only, but of course, that's why I have this video podcast. In fact, in the next one, there's articles now coming out that, it's cheaper to now rent than it is to ultimately buy. And again, where do these numbers start to fall into place? So something for you to think about, see how it affects your overall business and investing. Look forward to talking to you again. This has been Kevin Shortell.